Welcome back to Nature's Glory Cabin Off-Road. Here we have another Friends and Followers ride. Did on March 30th, 2024. We had Wayne's brother Tim, Gail and Scott, Kyle and Kai, and we covered a lot of ground, so this was a little bit longer than usual. We started off and hit Fixer-Leeco, went down Fixer-Leeco all the way down to a little portion of Bald Rock, then went on New Virginia. It made the New Virginia loop all the way back around to Bald Rock and then out Cave Fork and then over to Spas Creek. So we covered a bunch of ground this afternoon. This is about a 5.5 hour trip that we did. So here we are on Fixer-Leeco. We're going to cut a lot of the regular stuff out and just move through and show a bunch of the rear camera video and the folks that are with us. This is just beginning out. Where we make the first turn to stay on the trail. And we're going to go down this hill here. This hill can be a little rutted. It has gotten a little worse over time. It can be slick. On this day it was pretty dry, so we didn't have much trouble going down through it. Notice we'll stop here, probably shift into 4 low. We do that for control as much as anything. We're going to go over this hill. I don't know if you can see very well the little ruts and drop-offs. There's a little bit of a rut here. It's not really much. And there's a culvert just as we crest this edge of the hill over here in a second. That has some rocks exposed, and it's a little bit rougher than it used to be. And when it's wet, this hill can be pretty slick. There you can see the camera there a little bit. We were moving really slow, but I've got this sped up. Some pretty nice scenery, some rock faces and such. Again, we're going to cut a bunch out. We're going to get down to the water crossings. This here is a mud hole. It's got a little drop off at the beginning. Depending on how you're equipped, you may hit your rear hitch on the mud. Again, it's just mud, so it won't hurt anything. And there that is from the rear. Now we've worked our way up to the flexi spot, and we're going to have a little video of most of us going through this. While we're setting up for it, I'm going through it first, and we'll show you from the left front wheel perspective as well. There's on the right hand side, there's a bit of a drop off. I'm coming up to it now. You can't really see it except for the drop in the hood. The left side's fairly smooth now, but off camber. You can ride up a little higher if you want to. There's also a bypass on that driver's side. And here's Scott and Gail behind me here. After you see this rear view camera, you'll see them come down it. Again, you can see the bypass there on the right side of the screen. It comes in down to the bottom with a little off camber ditch. Now we'll switch to a little camcorder video. I had some people helping me out here. And he's on 35s, and I believe a 3-inch lift. And here is Kyle and Kai. They're just going to come around the bypass. They're in the Cherokee. And it, I think it's 33s and a small lift. They didn't have any trouble coming down the bypass. And Wayne and his brother Tim coming down the main run. No trouble at all. He's on 35s, I believe, and a small lift also. And we're going to take off here and go through some water on Fixer-Leeco. I'm going to show a bunch of that from the rear. You've seen enough of it from the front before. If you want to see some of those other ones, those other videos are out there. There's a bunch of them. Kind of try to make them look a little fresher each time. Kind of hard to do the same thing over and over again without getting boring. One thing about it though, the trails change. Look from one video to the next. The water can be higher, it can be lowered, it can be trees down, or it can be washouts. There can always be something new on a trail that you weren't anticipating. Water's fairly low on this day. This is March the 30th, 2024. I always try to be respectful of the trails, carry out what you take in, try to take more out than you brought in, try to help clean up after everybody else. I know we don't like to, but we like to keep these things open so we can continue to enjoy them. Make sure you can see the vehicle in front of you and behind you. If you can't, get on the radio or honk a horn, get somebody's attention. We don't want to get somebody lost out here. You never know when you might break something and somebody disappears from your rear view. Water there was a little bit deeper. Right at that tree is a little bit of a drop off. There's a little something in there, I believe, underneath. It's not too deep though. It's something you can get through on 33s really easy. This is more of a stock friendly trail. A couple little spots you may need to work around, but they're not bad. Any off-road, four-wheel drive should be able to do this. All-terrain tires. I wouldn't do it with street tires, but all-terrain tires should be no problem. That's a little deep spot right there. There's a little pump there in them woods, and that's usually a little deeper right there. And after that, we don't have a whole lot on Fixer-Leeco. We'll show a little bit where we make a turn. And of course we show Bronco Killer Lake. That's what that was right there. And we're going to make the sharp right turn around Zachariah Creek Lake that was used back in the day for pumping water underground to get the oil to come to the top. And we're going to continue left here. That right goes out to a gate, so you don't want to do that. So we're going to stay on Fixer-Leeco till it hits Lairson and then continue on down to Cave Fork Bald Rock. This is the intersection right here. See the water off to the left? That's Cave Fork. We usually stop there for a moment and then we move on. Now we're on a little section of Bald Rock here where we usually stop in and take a photo op, take some pictures here, backed into the creek. And there's the group. Now we're going to move right along, head on down to make a right on New Virginia. We're still on Bald Rock here. This intersection right here is where we continue right for New Virginia. Left would have been Bald Rock. We're going to make a big loop, so we're going to take New Virginia to the right. Again, this is a fairly stock friendly ride. Don't be surprised, things can happen. Now this spot right here, we will stay left and cross the water. Depending on the time of year, there may not be water here. So we want to go left here. There's a little culvert, and make sure you stay left. Straight is Sinking Creek, and it's a much rougher trail. And here's that from the rear. And here we are getting ready to cross the bridge on New Virginia, the Wood Bridge. We'll have a video of everybody crossing this here. To ride with me first, see how I take the bridge there and ride on the treads on the bridge. And then here's a video camera video of me coming across. All this is sped up. We were not going this fast. And here comes Kyle and the Cherokee. That might be a Grand Cherokee now that I look at it. And here comes Scott and Gail. And Wayne bringing up the rear. He kind of got a little too off to the side there and had to take another shot at it, but that's okay. It's a very low bridge. And continuing out, once you get away from the bridge, coming over top of the hill, there's some muddy ruts coming down the back side. They're not too bad. If you want to avoid them, you can go off on the passenger side a little bit and avoid some of that. I usually just go through them to show everybody else what it looks like, and you can make your own decision how you want to approach that. Anytime you need help, be sure to ask. We run GMRS radios for communication. We usually have a spare if somebody needs one, doesn't have one of their own. And then we're just going to follow right on out. There's a little bit of rocks, there's a little bit of ruts, but nothing that's very hard going out in New Virginia. Again, there's a bunch of other ones out there. Here we are at the end of New Virginia, coming back up to pavement, and we're going to get out here in a minute and get on Highway 52. And there they are bringing up the rear there, coming up to the pavement. And make a left onto Highway 52 here when it's safe. We're going to turn into this little park here, a little wide spot in the road called Bear Track, and we usually have lunch here. Nice little park to stop at. There's also restrooms that are open during the season. Ladies that need to use the restroom, I appreciate this usually. And once we've had our lunch, we go on, take on off, and we're going to go left again, back down 52. We're going to go toward 498, and we're heading toward Bald Rock. We'll show that from behind where you can see everybody pulling out onto the highway. I got a little too far from them. Alright, here we are. We're going to turn left on 498. Go a little ways on 498. And then there's a little rock gravel here and a blue church sign. There is no other markings for Bald Rock. Unless you have a map or know where it's at, you may miss this wide spot in the road. And we stop for a second at the beginning, and we get everything in low range. Then we head down over the hill. This is fairly steep. We usually go down in low range. Occasionally there are ruts in this, and you may meet somebody coming up. A lot of rock climbers down here that are not off-roaders, so they don't always negotiate as well as us off-roaders do to kind of get out of each other's way. Nice big rock face there. We'll show that from behind. You can see that with Scott and Gail that are behind us. We're going to skip ahead here a whole bunch and get past the last rock climber parking lot and get into the other side of Bald Rock, where it starts to be a little more pretty with water crossings, creeks, waterfalls, stuff like that. This is the first one past the last rock climbing parking lot. Water's a little low today, so there's not a lot of water in the creeks, but it's still very picturesque. My wife takes a lot of pictures. There's a lot of albums over on the Facebook page if you're interested in looking at some of the scenery. And she also does the trail pictures as well. The Facebook page is the same name, Nature's Glory Cabin. Another little water crossing here. Some of these are fairly long, but they're not very deep on this day. Sometimes they're a little deeper. Again, flash floods can occur back here depending on the weather, but unfortunately, or fortunately, it drains out pretty fast. Big rain one day, next day a lot of it's already gone. Come out of that spot, there's a pump, and we're going to show that from the rear, a little bit of that. Well, most of it with the folks coming up behind us. Anybody has any suggestions or anything, let me know. I'm open to suggestions. I'd love to improve these as things you're looking for. This is the longer water crossing here. You see the pipe going over the top up there. Something to do with oil exploration in the area. And this water sometimes is a little deeper, but it's a nice little crossing. Run right down the creek, come out the other side. And we'll show that from the rear also. Coming up. And here we are coming out of that. There's a lot of little offshoots here and there that go up to those pumps, so just try to stay out of those areas. This is the last bald rock crossing of any size, right at the end where it splits off to New Virginia's on the other side of this. We went to the right instead of the left, which took us out New Virginia. In this direction, New Virginia would be on your left when we get up to that pump. You'll see the pump here in a second. There it is right there. That's where we turned right before to make the big loop. And it's also right there to your left on this video screen here. So we're going to go right on out the little section of Bald Rock, right back down to where the intersection of Cave Fork and Bald Rock is, and we're going to go back out Cave Fork. And we're heading out to Highway 11 once we get out Cave Fork. A lot of nice scenery here, a lot of creek views, a lot of rocks in the creek. This was before. That's where we stopped right there and parked in the creek for pictures. But this is before spring, obviously. Not much is really turning green yet. And here's another little map here. This is where we're going to, the intersection of Bald Rock, Cave Fork. We're going to go all the way out to Cave Fork, hit a little parking lot, Ashland Camp, and go on Highway 11 north and head towards Spas Creek when we get to the other end. Okay, here we are at the water crossing to get onto Cave Fork. And we got some video here of each of us going across this as well. We try to personalize our ride, try to give everybody a little attention, and hey, everybody likes to see themselves on TV, right? Or YouTube, as the case may be. Just another water crossing on Cave Fork. I'm in my 22 JLR on 37s with a 2-inch lift. Muddy Blue will be getting back soon. Muddy Blue's getting upgraded to 35s, so hopefully we'll be driving it again soon. Just showing a little bit of the scenery. This is another little water crossing. This is not really a crossing, but more of a, we're going to run up the creek here. This is pretty rough. Normally you don't really have to air down much, but this is pretty rough. I air down just for the extra shock absorbency in the tires through this little spot right here. And it's better on your suspension components. Give it a little more spongy to not beat things as bad. You can see as we go through here maybe how rough this is. And we're getting here toward the end of Cave Fork. Those two big rocks pretty much mark the gateway in and out. We're going to go up the hill here to a little parking lot. We usually sit here and park for a minute and talk and get ready what we're going to do next. Now we're going to go out here to Ashland Camp Loop. We're going to go left. It goes right and left. Again, it's a loop. So we're going to go out here to Highway 11 on this end of it. And we're going to make a left on Highway 11 and go north. And we're going to go all the way back through Slade. And we're heading towards Spas Creek now. The little map will pop up here in a second, and it'll give you an idea of what we're doing. So it should take off from the spot. We'll see here when it comes up. Okay, yeah, it takes off from where we just got on the highway and goes all the way to where we go under the mountain parkway and turn left on 11/15. So we're going to go all the way back through Slade and the mountain parkway, and get just on the other side of the mountain parkway here. We're going to make a left on Highway 11/15. They come together here, and then you can see the map here. We're going to go down to 613, make a right, continue right on 613 to Spas Creek, and then we're going to get on 713 on the other side, and end the ride at 460 at the high school in Menifee County. That's where everybody parts ways. Okay, watch for 613. There it is, right there. See it? Now here we go. And it's right here. It's a little further than you might think from that sign. This little building, this little beige building, and make a right. Go all the way into the mountain parkway over here to the end, and you have to turn right to stay on 613. Left is not 613. I believe left is 599. We want to go right and stay on 613. And then we get to Spas Creek, which is not marked again. It's right at another one of those curves. It's a gravel road. And about 2 miles later, we get actually to the trailhead. And this is where we start the trailhead. 2 miles of gravel gets you to that spot. Spas Creek has a lot of water, a lot of mud holes. I tried to pick out the best spots to leave in. It takes a good hour if you don't stop for anything. Most of the time it's closer to an hour and a half to get through here. Fairly long trail. It's fun. It's got some spots in it. It's got some breakovers, mud holes, off camber. It's got the chute. Got a big mud hole and a hill climb at the end. Again, mostly stock vehicles can do this. It may take a little finesse and you may need a little spotting, but you should be able to get through it. All terrains, at least, in a real off-road rig. Bunch of water crossings like this on Spas Creek. And we'll show a lot of that stuff from behind as well as we go. This little spot here is usually a nice muddy spot. You can go either right around it or left through it. I like to go through it. It's usually deeper than this. It wasn't very deep on this day. You see from behind here. It's a little soft in the middle and the bottom, but I've never had any trouble with it, even on 33s. And I think almost everybody went that way. And here's the breakover. So we go over this into the mud hole. You come down from up from the other side and go into it. And we got a little bit of everybody here coming through this. We'll show several different angles of me. We also have the left front wheel and the front camera, and we'll probably show that from the rear maybe too. Maybe not. And we'll show everybody else coming through it. I lost video here, so I had to stitch together some of my wife's pictures to get everybody else through it. We lost one of our riders. Wayne had to take off, so he didn't do Spas Creek with us. And there's that from the rear from my Jeep. And here we're going to go around the tree. This is optional. You can go under the tree. It's a lot smoother. And down and over it. We also have several other views of this, so you can get a better idea what it looks like. Going down on the other side of the tree is a little steeper than going up, but you have the mud hole going up. Longer vehicles like Gladiators and such don't usually do it. They are usually too long or don't have enough lift or tire. And you can see this from the rear view, from the creek view. There's a mud hole right there as you get to the top, and a stump. And you can see Scott and Gail coming up it. Now I'm going down near the side. You see where the camera was facing up, and now we're down. Now we got camcorder video of me going down. And here comes Scott and Gail. They're coming down the other side of the tree as well. And there's Kyle. He went under the tree. He chose not to go up and around, which is fine. To each their own, whatever they feel like comfortable doing. If you need help, be sure and ask. I'm happy to help. Now this here is a little water crossing. It's a little deeper there, a little off camber when you come out of it. Not hard though. And here's just a mud hole. And I think I had to stitch some pictures together here again because somehow I lost some video. But you see me go through it. You'll also see the rear camera as well. There's another mud hole. There's several in succession right there. And here's some pictures I stitched of Scott and Gail going through it. And here comes Kyle and Kai. And there's my rear camera video of that mud hole. Got a couple of them, I think. And we're going to continue on. I try to keep everything in sequence. We do a set of things, we do it all at once. There's a little deeper hole. You see that was up to his winch. This hole here has got a log in it. I call this the log hole. That log used to set up on the side, and the water finally washed the dirt out from under and it fell in the hole. Plenty of room to get by. And here's a flexi spot getting ready to go through here. This is fairly flexi. A lot of folks have trouble to come off the ground. You can get through it. You can ride high, right or left sometimes, and get your tires digging the edges, and it helps. I just turn my locker on and go on. I've been through this on 33s and here on 37s. It's off camber both directions, and it's got a bit of a hole as you come out of it on the right. Now we're moving on. There's a mud hole here that looks real deep. It's never very deep. No problem to negotiate it. Don't go off to the left into the ruts. That's private property, and not only that, it's actually harder to get through that than it is the mud hole. And there it is right there. You notice it's really not as deep as perspective makes you think it is. Now here's this is a fairly deep mud hole. This one's usually, I don't know, halfway up a 37 most of the time. If you've seen the other videos, you've noticed this one as well. It's usually about the same amount of water in it every time. Most all of these have drain-offs to the side someplace. They start splashing the water and actually goes back to the creek. And they all have solid bottoms, so you don't have to worry about it coming off. Now this spot right here, you need to stay left for the bypass. If you go straight, there's a pretty good drop-off. And on the bypass on the left, where we go, it's a little bit off camber. You may be tempted to go straight because it looks better, but it's not for long. As we go through here, we're going to weave in and out some trees or some what appear to be bypasses around some of these. I've taken most of them. If you're by yourself, take what looks to be the best. I wouldn't do any of these alone, because if you pick the wrong one, you may have more trouble. We're going to weave in and out some trees here. Longer vehicles may need to watch out, make sure you have enough clearance. I mean, even a 4-door Jeep Unlimited and a Gladiators especially, things that are bigger. If you need to stop and slow us down, be sure to shout. We're happy to slow down and help you through it. Don't want you tearing your stuff up. Okay, now we're approaching there's a dirt break over here that we just drop over. It's a 3 or 4 feet drop. I usually go straight over. I'm in a short wheelbase. I don't have any trouble with breakover angle, as you can see me going down there. And you'll also see me from a camcorder video angle coming up too. You can go further to the right, the passenger side, and go off camber and not have to worry as much about your breakover angle. Vehicles with steps instead of rock rails, a lot of times will dig a step into this. You saw he got right over it with the 35s and a 3-inch lift. And here's Kyle. He's going to go around it to the passenger side a little bit. And if you'll notice, that way he'll have more ground clearance. He'll be a little off camber, but he won't have to worry about bottoming out. He has less ground clearance than anybody else in the group. And it's a 4-door. And this is somebody we met a little further back, and so we just thought, well, we'd film them, throw them in too. If you see this video, give us a shout out. I don't remember if we ever introduced ourselves. And here I come up the chute. It will show several angles of this so you can see more of it. And here I am coming all the way up from the dirt breakover up the creek to the chute. That might have been slightly out of order, but that's okay. It's all about the chute. On the left there, a lot of times there can be, depending on how much rain we've had, there'll be a waterfall. It's like straight ahead right now on the left camera. And we're going to turn into this. You can see the chute. It's a bunch of rocks, limestone, and gets lined up correctly. If you need help, make sure somebody helps you. I have seen people scrape the sides of their vehicle here. You need to back, if you got a longer vehicle especially, back up and pull up, get straight, so you don't have to worry about. You saw how he'd done this. He's done this before, it looked like. Sometimes if you don't have traction devices, you may have to give it a little bump to get up there, but it really isn't that hard. I've done it without traction devices on 33s before. And here comes Kyle. He's a little longer, and he did give it a little bit of a scrape right in the middle, but it wasn't very bad, didn't hurt anything. But he got right on up it. Had a little bit of a scrape just before the rear tires came up. And here comes the folks that were behind us. They're going to go on after this. We won't see them anymore, I don't think. Now we're heading on out. We got a few rocks to negotiate here. And then we have a bit of a hill climb with some mud and ruts. You can negotiate it. If you're on more stock tires, you may have to pick your line a little better. Put your tire on the biggest obstacle so that you don't have to worry about dragging on anything. This is deceptive. There'll be a little rear camera video here in a minute coming up, and it'll give you a little more idea of what this little hill looks like. The muddier it is, obviously, the slicker it can be. It's not real bad on this day. So we work our way to the top, and there's a couple of holes up here as you get to the top also. You may have to negotiate them a little differently for yourself. If you need help, be sure to ask, as always. So we're going to get up here, we're going to stop. You can see that other folks went through the mud hole. Now here we are coming up the hill from the rear. You might get a little better view of what this hill looks like from behind. You can watch other folks bouncing around. Again, we weren't going very fast. I sped this up, but sliding into the ruts, and there's a few rocks. But everybody got up it. We'll get up here and we're going to, you won't see us, but we stopped for a minute and got prepared to pictures and videos so everybody could go through this last big mud hole on Spalls Creek. And you see me dropping over into it. It's a little bit uneven as you drop into it. You may, depending on your breakover angle, you might dig a little dirt there. You might want to take it as more of a left to right, driver to passenger angle a little bit to get more square over it. And you can see me coming over it from the front here too. Little camcorder video. Notice how the right front tire dropped first. Here comes Scott and Gail. And now Kyle and Kai. Taking his time over it. Again, that's just dirt, so if he bottomed out anything, he just rubbed some dirt. We're going to head up this hill here on the way out. This is usually pretty dry. It's got some rocks in it. Be sure to put your tire on the biggest rock so you can get over it. Don't want to hit a differential on something. Practice your tire placement. Folks with smaller tires and less lift need to pay more attention to that. Notice I went right over that rock. Put my left front tire on it. Going to work our way to the top here where the actual trail entrance starts. Don't need any left front wheel there, so you can just kind of see what it looks like as we finish out going to the top. There's a few little ruts up here to the top that will surprise you if you're not paying attention. You'll think it was smooth, and all of a sudden you'll get a little drop. But they're, like I said, they're easy enough to get around. There's a deeper one or two just up here on the right. Stay left of it if you want to stay out of it. If you're adventurous, knock yourself out. There's the sign for the entrance to Spah's Creek, and we're pretty much out now. We get to here, we're going to run all the way out. I want to show you one other little spot when you get up here, so you stay left to stay on the trail. I believe right to say goes to a cemetery. Left takes you out. There's a dbbb sign to the highway, and we're going to make a right onto 713, and we're going to go on around here to the high school, and we're going to part ways here at the end. That's 460 right in front of us, left to Mount Sterling, right to Frenchburg. Hope everybody enjoys this. Thanks for watching.